Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at play-up props here on a Thursday night in the NBA. Just two games that we're looking at here on this little baby slate that we have for you. Also have our best bets video up for you guys, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page so you can continue to follow along with us. Also head to thelines.com, check out everything we're putting up on the site right now, and use that odds finder tool that we have. Make sure you're getting the best odds available to you from all these books giving us bets this NBA season. Nate, let's just run right into our first NBA play-up prop for tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Malik Beasley in his new home in Milwaukee, and they have juiced his three-pointers pretty nicely, plus 126 at FanDuel for him to hit three. I think you could split your unit between that and him going 9.5 points, which is also plus money at most books. I mean, if he hits the three threes, you're talking about one more bucket. I think he's going to play a lot. If you look at the preseason numbers, the Bucks clearly trying to make him part of their plans. He was third in scoring, third in minutes, and third in usage rate, just right behind Dame and Giannis as their best, 3-and-D guy. He's a guy who at times when he was locked in was an excellent wing defender in Minnesota. The last 3 years has been top 6 in catch and shoot threes in terms of attempts, and with Minnesota 3 years ago was 41% on catch and shoot threes. Absolutely elite. Last year, 36% with the Lakers, which is still good, but, there were spacing issues all over the floor with that team. I think the spacing is going to be phenomenal for these Bucks. I mean, maybe not in game one, we'll see, but, I mean, with Dame and Giannis out there, Malik, he should be wide open, and he was getting 8.2 attempts from deep in the preseason, hitting 41.5% of those, so I'll take the plus odds for him to hit this. Chris Middleton, intriguing player prop at just 12 points at most spots, but that's because everything indicates he'll be on a minutes limit. He had an arthroscopic knee surgery this offseason, did not ever really get right last year. They're going to play the long game with him, let him ease into the season. He only played 12 minutes in the preseason, so guys like Beasley, Connaughton, they should see a lot more run on the wing here, and I, for my money, like Beasley to be a better offensive piece against a Sixers team that's kind of slow on the wing and might not be able to get out on them for threes.
It's interesting. ESPN.com is always so bad at starting lineups and who's actually correctly in the starting lineup on the depth chart. They have Malik Beasley listed as in the starting lineup. I don't think that's the case. I wouldn't hate that idea because I think Pat Connaughton is a better defender, that's for damn sure. So that would mean that he's more useful to a backup lineup that, is not quite the same defensively as the starting lineup. Obviously, I think Pat Connaughton might be more effective there, to be honest, but he's not. He's not going to start, or he's not going to come off the bench. Pat Connaughton's going to start, which gives me a little bit of pause with Beasley. Like, he should have this if he's put into a situation where he's like basically the highest used offensive player on the second rotation. I just don't know yet, basically how he's going to be used. So I'm going to stay away from anything like that type of stuff until I know fully with some of these new guys and new places. Well, but if he's used the way that he's been used in the past, then
let me add the Bucks were starting Wes Matthews last year, and Malik Beasley sort of a younger version of the 3-and-D Wes Matthews. So I think it's not incorrect to say he might be their starter.
Yeah, he might be. But other more reliable sources, I would say, have him projected as coming off the bench. Either way, he can still get minutes whenever they need offense as well. So like he's always good for that. He should be good for at least 20 to 25. So hopefully he gets the 5 to 6 3-point attempts. That's how he's normally been used. I understand that's how he has been predominantly used in his career, except for when he got to the Lakers and it just didn't work out there. But that's a different story. So let me get into my first pick here, talking about this game as well with Dame Lillard, Malik Beasley's teammate. And I'm looking at Dame's assists, and I don't know necessarily how he's going to come out and score. The Chris Middleton on a minutes limit does make me think it scares me to take under 26.5 points for Dame in this instance. We've never seen Dame with this roster, with this type of roster even. We've never seen Dame with a big man who has this type of versatility and capability. And we've never seen him with a complete team at each position, including the bench. We've just never seen it. So we're just used to him pulling early and often because he has to. And he often does try to dime up early. Let me get to my bet. Assists. over 7.5 of them. I got that at plus money, plus 105 on DraftKings for half a unit on that. I'm going to go with a full unit though, as I'm talking, because I was going to split them between the under on the points and the over on the assists, to be honest, because I don't like taking him to come out and just fire the way that he always has. Like my thought process here, which doesn't have more merit than say other projections as how Dame is going to play in a situation he's never been in before. But the way that I'm projecting it is he comes out and is a little bit more humble from the standpoint of not shooting and pulling the way that he always has, relishing in the fact that he doesn't have to do everything and he can still expect to win and have a positive outcome on offense when he passes the ball consistently, that he's going to get it back in a good situation if he does pass it, or that the play is entirely me, Giannis, pick and roll, or me, Brook, pick and roll over and over again, setting him up to, go ahead and get a ton of assists off of that. So I'm going to take him over on the assists. I am going to do a little ladder, Nate, as well, because the 12 plus assists for him on DraftKings was 10-1. So I was like, let me put a tiny bit on Dame to get 12 assists here. He's gotten 11 assists in both of his last outings versus Philadelphia. It's been kind of the game theory as well that adds to this is when he's played Philly, he scores less when Embiid is out there. Not rocket science. Big man in front of hoop, me no go all the way to rim, me pass ball earlier than that. So like that's big reason for having 11 dimes and not getting 26 points in his last two outings against Philadelphia, which kind of also led me to go, maybe there's another opportunity here. You add the fact that he's not going to shoot as much, but I don't really want to get into having to like worry about Dame not hitting, 6 threes. Like I don't want to deal with that stress. So I'll just go ahead and also getting to the foul line like 10 times. He's capable of all of that. He's going to have a lot of good one-on-one matchups. I think he's going to pass a lot off of it. But like I said, I'm taking the 10 plus assists for a little bit and the 12 plus assists for a little bit as well, on top of taking him to get 8 tonight, to just do a little baby ladder with Dame in the early season.
Yeah, I mean, this is the best roster he's played with in terms of getting those assists, and there's also just still no ball handlers to really take the pressure off him, right? I mean, you say like there are a lot of weapons, but he's got to be the point guard, and the emphasis on point, which is why I understand your logic going under with 26 and a half points. It'll just be interesting to see if it's Giannis or him who allows the lower usage rate, or if they just both eat against a Sixers defense as they get adjusted to playing with each other. But I like going with the assists here. I think it's just fine. And I'm actually intrigued on the other side with DeAnthony Melton, who I did not have in here originally because his props were not up yet, but they are up now. And 9.5 points for Melton, who's probably going to be guarding Lillard and therefore playing like 30, 35 minutes. I don't care if he starts or not. I think, he's going to be finishing the game with Tyrese Maxey in that backcourt with no James Harden in sight. And so I will take 9.5 points and 1.5 threes, which is minus 130 for Melton. But the points are better juice. And this is a guy who's been killing it in the preseason, who has been kind of an underrated weapon since he was with Memphis 2 years ago. Never really got much run. In Philly last year, he was blocked by Harden, but when Harden was out, he was eating. And I think, in this matchup against Dame, if Dame is the one guarding him on the other end, he should do just fine. He should get open looks with Embiid drawing all that crash down. So give me DeAnthony Melton at just 10 points in this matchup where there's a pretty healthy total of 227.
Yeah, what are his threes at too? I'm looking at that real quick because you're right. He wasn't up for a while.
1.5 threes but it's minus 130 on the over there. You could go up to 3 threes. I mean, he's a guy who can hit 6 threes in a game if he gets going.
Precisement. On DraftKings, plus 230 for him to hit 3. Yeah, might as well. If the minutes are going to be there without Harden, plus the guarding the other team's best player theory that I love with just soaking up that usage. Yeah, absolutely. Minutes, you follow the minutes. And without their other best offensive player besides Embiid, this is gonna, I love when it's like the floodgates open because the star leaves, and now we can all the little fish behind the star are like, yay, we can eat, and then we go ahead and gobble up when they get too low of props like this one. So let me go ahead and roll out the last player prop I have here. I am going to Embiid. I'm going to Embiid assists too. Maybe a little assist parlay for the boys. Maybe a little Embiid Dame assist parlay. Combine those because both of them are about even money. Embiid over 4.5 assists is even money. I'm just going to put a half a unit on it because I also wanted to allocate some funds to the Damian Lillard assist ladder that I just told you about. So we're going to just put a half a unit on Embiid to go over 4.5 assists. The game script is still there for him to do it. He is more likely to get assists, in my opinion, when Harden's not there. Obviously, Harden dominates the ball when he's in the game and somewhat takes the air out of it. Doesn't really move or cut for him the way that Maxey does when he's going to the basket. Same as D'Anthony Melton, also strong going to the basket as a big guard. So there's the roster that he'll be playing with tonight is going to be a much more apropos for him to get the assists as well. He's gotten 5+ assists in 5 of the last 6 versus Milwaukee. So that also just adds to the game theory of they double team him. They double team a lot, by the way. Like that's part of, at least that was Coach Bud's strategy on defense. I can't imagine you stray too far away from having super long, rangy defenders as your identity, and you move away from trapping people, or at least like using that to close down the paint and force people to shoot. Who are you worried about shooting on this team? Like D'Anthony Melton, great shooter. Tyrese Maxey, great shooter. You don't really have to worry about anybody else. You can go ahead and take, like, George Niang was a wonderful player for them last season because of his ability to stretch and play on that second rotation, and that's not the case anymore for him now in Cleveland. So like I'm not worried about other guys shooting nearly as much, which is why you double Embiid, which is still going to be ripe for opportunity for him to. I understand how that's like contradictory to like, well, if they're not going to make the threes that he passes them, then they're not going to score. But those guys are still cutters. The other players that you're going to see for the 76ers tonight, outside of PJ Tucker, who will be standing out there in the corner at times as well, which will be helpful. So like, either way, I think that there's still going to be a good opportunity for him to get the 5 assists. The reason that he's done it is because they double teamed. Like I said, the Bucks were double teaming in the top 10 team in terms of the amount of times they double teamed last year. They also allowed the 6th most assists per game to centers. Both of the last seasons, they were the 6th worst team at limiting centers in assists because, once again, they double team. So all of this just leads me to go, I'm at even money for him to do what he's done 5 of the last 6 times he's played this team with all these same guys in the front court that he'll be facing tonight. Seems reasonable, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you like D'Anthony Melton and Maxey getting going, it's going to be a lot of DHOs and a lot of pick and roll with Embiid, which helps him be that secondary playmaker. It's interesting you say, oh, then nobody can shoot on the Sixers, and that's why I like the assists. But I mean, there's another way to look at this, where it's just to say like, well, all PJ Tucker and Tobias Harris have been doing is standing in the corner waiting for Embiid to draw a half double even with when he gets it at the nail. He starts to go in, their defender crashes a little, and then bang, kick it out for a corner 3. And if you get like 6 attempts almost for each of those guys, that's all they're going to shoot almost. You need 2 of those to go down, and then you're almost there with the assist. So I'm with you on that. Yeah. I think a well-rounded game for Embiid is going to be necessary with Harden out.
And I went too hard. Let's make sure we don't clip that for social, by the way. The part where I'm just talking trash on the rest of the roster for the Philadelphia 76ers. I did forget about Tobias. Shockingly, I forgot about Tobias Harris. Like, isn't that his MO is like, oh, I forgot Tobias Harris was playing in this game anyway while you're watching him. So not that big a deal. But I shouldn't go that hard. And I also forgot they got Kelly Oubre. Good shooter. Like, if you're going to leave Kelly Oubre open, he's going to hit a 3 as well. So either way, I do like the assists. I think the double team is going to be there no matter what. Went too hard on the point that there's nobody else good, but the bet stands. So that is all the time we have in play of props for you guys, though. Continue to follow along. We're back with another big slate here on Friday to end the week. Going to be a very exciting night in the NBA. So until we do talk to you next, happy betting.